Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Quirky Dorks Podcast. Today is Sunday, April 25th, 2021. Sadly, Fiona Wilson could not be here today because I know, as a teenager, we can be, we can be a handful sometimes. And here to aid me with that is my mother, who has raised two teenagers, including myself, and right now, me and my sister. How are you doing today?
Hey, I'm doing good. How are you?
I'm doing good. We just went out to the store this morning. We've been talked a little bit about this before. I do think it's kind of a hard question as a parent, like a mother to son, to ask him what's it like raising a teenager, especially the fact that I'm still a teenager right now, and you're still going to raise me and trying to bring me up. Mommy, what do you think is one of the biggest challenges of trying to raise teenagers, or me specifically, or me and my sister?
I think for me, the challenge has been trying to get, trying to balance between you as a kid and then moving into adulthood. That's been what's most been challenging to me because I'm so used to telling you guys, I was so used to telling you what to do all the time, and so, then letting you guys have your own opinion, letting you find your own way. That's one of the most challenging things I think that has been for me. But I think that we're kind of moving into a better direction where you're able to have your own opinions about things and we're able to talk about different things. And so right now you're starting to transition into adulthood, and it was the same with your sister. Like right now, she and I are not just mother daughter anymore. We're more friends. So we have that relationship now where she has her opinion to say what she wants, and she can talk to me about anything. So you and I are moving into that transition too, where we can talk about just about anything now.
I also think it's important that you've opened that platform for us. It's not just kids will eventually grow up and they can have that open dialogue. That's a foundation that needs to be placed with the parent for their children to be able to have that, not only just a mother parent child relationship, but a friendship that goes outside of just do this, do your chores, fold the clothes. You're gonna be in charge in a few years. And once you turn 18, you gotta get out. You gotta take care of that. Whereas, it doesn't have to be those strict guidelines.
Right, and then also coming from my family background and old school, kids weren't allowed to have their own opinions about stuff. It was just like it's my way or the highway, or even as you become an adult, you respect your parents and you do what they tell you to do, even when you're grown, or that whole thing, I brought you in this world, I'll take you out, that kind of silly stuff. So, but I thought I would do something different with you guys, because at the end of the day, when I'm not around, you guys have to be able to make your own decisions. You have to be able to have your own thoughts and feelings about what you need to do, so you'll be able to be good parents to your children as well.
Yeah.
So.
It's a generational thing, and being able to have I think the idea goal of parenting is to be able to provide a better environment and make your children not necessarily better, but have a better a more prosperous experience, rather, and be able to not have to worry about the same struggles or difficulties that you have, and give them the knowledge and resources so they won't have to go through those same things.
Yeah, that's exactly right. The thing of it is that I struggled with that whole thing, again, coming from old school and not being able to have an opinion about certain things, or not being able to do certain things, and then there's a level of respect. But I still think there should be a level of respect, but I don't think that children should fear their parents. I think there should be respect, not fear.
Mm-hmm.
That was that whole thing, is that you were to be afraid of your parents. I'm gonna beat you up, I'm gonna whoop your butt, or all of these things that we as parents experienced when we were younger, and so we don't. A lot of times you do what you learn,
Mm-hmm.
or sometimes what some parents will do is that whatever their parents do, they'll do the total opposite of that. That's not a good thing either. You got to have some balance.
Mm-hmm.
So some stuff that I got from my mom and, you know, and grandparents and stuff like that, I used a little bit of that, but I took it a little bit further and did some things that were totally different that I thought would be better, so that we could actually be friends when you and your sister become adults.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that's what I really want. I enjoy, you know, me and your sister, we travel together. You know, you and I have traveled together, you know, alone. So, and we argue, you know. You know, she and I argue about stuff. You and I argue about stuff. But the thing of it is, it's not one of those types of things, those arguments that are we can agree without being disagreeable. We can disagree without being disagreeable, shall I say.
I think one of the great things you brought up is that it's what you learned from your parents. That's why I never understood what other kids would be like swearing at school or like bring that same behavior and be like, why are you cursing? Where'd you learn that from? Well, mama, I learned it from you. Where else is the kid going to learn that information from?
That's
and
right.
then I feel like a lot of the times parents will sometimes shun their kids for things that they have put around their environment. Or there's also fears that the parents have that they've done in their past or negative experience that they have, and they feel, I need to have a close, like, hard grip on my child now, or my teen, and they can't have the, like, experiences that they should have. I'm worried, I'm concerned, I want the best for them, and it can have, like, a negative effect.
Right. Well, I mean, I think as a parent, too, I also have those worries and fears. And also, I feel, too, also, when you're raising your kids are going to have a lot of you in them. So you're going to see some negative things about your kids that are about yourself. You're going to see those things, too. So I think a lot of times parents, what they do is they want to, because they hate to see that part of themselves that they see in their kids, or maybe they don't even recognize that. They just see a behavior. And so what they try to do is really try to just, you know, I ain't gonna say beat it out of them, but they try to do things to get rid of that behavior without trying to modify their own behavior as well. Mm-hmm. So, and that's a hard thing to me. It's really hard to look at your kids and see a mirror, because that's really a lot of times what you're seeing. I mean, I see so much of myself in you and Nika, but I see a lot of the good stuff too. So I got to be able to accept the negative stuff as well as the good stuff. And maybe it's not negative. Maybe it's just something learned. And not beat you guys up because you've learned things from me. And then I see those things, and it's things that I don't necessarily like about myself. So it's been a huge growth process for me.
Yeah. You know what that kind of reminds me of? I don't know if I ever told you, like, people that would do this when I was in middle school, but there would be girls who would be really excited about having their own kids, and they'd be like, I want a little mini me, and they just, for the sole purpose of, I want to have someone just like me that I can talk to. And and I was like, I'm worried about being, like, going through middle school. Like, I don't know how other people could have the idea if I'm not ready for kids then, but just are looking forward to it. That wasn't even in the forefront of, I want a mini me and someone that's like me.
Well, see, I don't think that they really know what they're asking for, because when you say you want a mini me, you're looking at not just the fun and likable things that you like about yourself. You're going to see the whole picture. I mean, like with your sister, when she was little, she said she wanted to be just like me. But she didn't say it. That was her whole thought and process. She did everything that I did. She emulated a lot of things about me. But now also some of those things, those fears and anxieties and those things too, she also has some of those things that I have too, and trying to overcome that. So people don't really understand what they're asking for when they say they want somebody that's going to be just like them, because also you're looking at that mirror, and you might look in that mirror and see stuff that you really don't like. And now you're trying to modify their behavior without modifying your own behavior. Mm-hmm. And that's where the issue comes in. And that's where the fighting comes in. That's where the drama comes in, especially with women. It's so many times where I hear women who say they don't want any girls, they only want boys. which is so ridiculous to me because
that's ridiculous. I don't want no girls. I don't want no girls in my house.
But the thing of it is because you're thinking about how you were as a girl, as a young lady, and then to me that's sort of like a kind of self-hatred female type thing that you're doing, because it's so wonderful to have a daughter, it's wonderful to have a son, to experience both of those sides. I'm
gonna hit you with the heavy hitter, all right? As not about me or Sin. I know you won't be able to choose between me or Nika, but I mean by raising a boy versus a girl, or like having those two different experiences. What do you think was the most challenging to raise?
Let's be clear on this. When Nika was little, she did everything fast. She potty trained fast, she walked fast, she talked fast, she did all of those things. And I was like, So that's like when I was planning, I was like, I'm absolutely having a boy. Let's be clear on this. I knew that I was gonna have a boy. I planned it. I bought boy clothes before I was even pregnant. Me and Nika went to the little league. I said, I want my son to be in this and this and this before I was even pregnant. You know, we did all of this, and then when I was pregnant, I had a closet full of boy clothes. Lo and behold, I did the ultrasound twice. You wouldn't let us see what you was gonna be, but I knew it was gonna be a boy. I didn't even really want to pick out any girl names, but your dad was like, "Let's pick out some girl names too." I'm like, "Okay, fine. Let's paint the bedroom yellow because we don't know." I'm like, "I know I'm having a boy," and then boom. The day you came,
is that why my room was yellow for years?
Yes, because Daddy was like, we probably gonna have a girl, and I'm like, nope, we're having a boy. I called it before I was even pregnant. There's so much about you that's so similar to your sister too, in terms of you all being, creative and artistic and all of those things. So there's so much that we have in common. And with each other, and then so many things that me and your sister have in common as well. So I don't know. I say that part is the challenging part. The other part, the challenging part of having a boy, is that a lot of times your girl will confide more in you as a female than your son will. So and that part has been kind of challenging for me too. But as you begin to grow up as an adult, we're getting closer and we can talk about more things.
Mm-hmm.
So, but there's that. I don't have a favorite child. I have.
That's not.
Things.
I want to clarify. Yeah, that is not what I was.
I know, but I don't have a favorite. I want to be clear on this. I don't have a favorite child between you and your sister. There are favorite things about you, and there are favorite things about her. And I can't say that I love you guys equally because there are things about you that I love and things about her. So at the end of the day, it's still balanced on how I feel about both of you guys. I don't know where my life would be without the two of you.
I think we didn't really have a choice with
with the parent.
Yeah, kids are kind of given the short end of the stick. You can get great parents, or you can get
yeah. But I mean, I really lucked out. Even with the little things, as teenage things that you guys go through and stuff like that.
Yeah.
There's never been no problems, no real problems.
We're gonna go behind a school and smoke cigarettes.
Well,
we're gonna do some teenage.
Well, some kids rebel and do other things, but no terrible, really scary kind of
Not
things.
like any Stephen King stuff, like stabbing kids or anything.
That's a little dark.
I mean, have you ever it's crazy seeing 60s or in movies or how the bullying goes of teenagers dunking kids' heads in toilets and everything.
Yeah.
It's the exact. I've never what school does that?
Yeah, it's schools out there that do that. It's all kinds of stuff that goes on with bullying. But getting back to the fact that I don't find, as you guys are getting older, it probably was a little bit more challenging when you were younger, especially when you have kids also that are very intelligent. So then there's the arguments, or there's the I know, or it's all of those kinds of things. But that's to be expected when you have kids, and then so you have to take a different approach when your kids are very intelligent and you talk to them. talk to them like they're people and not like they're,
dogs, animals.
Well, no, I talk to my dog. I talk to Cassidy like she a person too. But the difference is that she's never gonna grow up in this household. She still has to always be told what to do.
I don't agree with that. I think once Cassidy gets to a certain age where she gets white in the face and she just have that start growling to go to sleep, I think she should be able to have free roam.
Well, she does have free roam for the most part. She just still has to be told what to do. Sometimes she'll go to bed on her own. She'll go get in her own bed, and sometimes I'll say, "Hey, it's time for you to go to bed."
But
I don't have to do that for you guys anymore, though. I don't say, "Hey, when you going to bed? You got to go to bed." That's up to your discretion, and if you're extra tired in the morning, that is what on you.
Mm-hmm.
So.
To that too, I have like friends that I know that people my age whose parents still will like, "Hey, you got to go to bed," and they're like almost 17, 18 years old, and they're still being told, "Hey, you got to go to bed. What are you still doing up?" And it's still honed in like that, and it gets to like, what age should people be able to roam free,
make their own decisions?
Mm-hmm.
I think it depends on the teenager, to be quite honest, and the relationship that parent has with the teenager. And that's the reason, because if you also, again, talk to your kids like they're people and not talk down to them or belittle them or anything like that, there'll be a mutual respect. As you know, and this is, I don't censor language in my household.
Cussing.
Yes. I mean, look, I grew up in a house where my grandparents cursed from sun up to sundown, everything. And the thing of it is that we couldn't say a word. You couldn't even say dang, or that was a bad word. You couldn't say, I mean, it was so many things you couldn't say, but we're listening to this stuff. And so when we get outside the house, then we cuss like sailors, So I don't censor. I just think that it should be respectful. I don't think it should be so-and-so, so-and-so,
Mm-hmm.
motherfucker. I don't think it should be all of those, but.
I mean, let's be real. Kids started cursing early on.
Yes.
I'll ask you this question: How young do you think I was when I started swearing?
I don't know.
And this might
maybe
get some
6.
deep water.
Maybe about 5 or 6.
5 or 6? No, it wasn't that.
Before
young.
that? Okay.
No, it was later.
About 8. Well, the reason why is because I curse in the house. So here's the thing, and when Nika was younger, I would just be talking, and just the curse words would just roll off and everything, and then she and I'd be having a conversation, and all of a sudden, I'd be saying shit or hell or whatever, and then Nika and I would be having this conversation, and we'd be going back and forth talking about stuff, and all of a sudden she'll say a curse word, and then she'd be like, ooh, and I'm like, girl, shut up, because it's like, if I'm sitting here cursing, it's gonna eventually slip out,
mm-hmm.
But she never. It still embarrassed her, It embarrassed her, but now, it's no embarrassment.
I think probably late 4th going into 5th grade.
Yeah.
So I don't know how it was at 10.
Yeah, 9 or 10.
9 or 10. Yeah.
Well, I got little cousins that I picked up from school one time. They was like 5 years old, and I was standing there watching him as I was picking him up. I'm not gonna mention his name, but he was cursing like a sailor, and he was like 5. I was like, what in the world? But again, we're in this household where people cuss like sailors,
mm-hmm.
men and women. So of course you can't say to your kids, do what I say, not what you see, because kids are going to do what they see. That's the bottom line. They're going to do what they see. So, and again, that goes with almost anything that you do. If you're showing them loving relationships, they're going to do what they see. If you're showing them negative relationships, they're going to do what they see. So, again, censoring language, why? It's as long as they're not
respect.
and I don't think 3 or 4 year olds should be in the streets cursing like sailors. If they don't know their ABCs and can't count to 100 and all of that, why should they know motherfucker damn, kiss my ass and all that? They shouldn't know none of that. They shouldn't be saying those types of things if they don't know bare minimum of how to get along in the world. That's the way I feel about it.
Yeah.
So,
You know, I've seen it as much as where 5 or 6 year olds who parents have built that level of respect with their 5 and 6 year olds to the point where I saw this video of this girl like screaming and curse like she was about to swear at like one of her other siblings. Like, mom, can I curse? Can I swear? Can I say a curse word? She was like, yeah, go ahead. And then she said like 5. I said, I told you to say 1. She said, yeah, blah, blah, blah. Like going off on.
I know. I have a cousin. I have a cousin who says she allowed her kids to curse. I think it was for Christmas, all day on Christmas, and then after that they came. And I'm thinking that don't make sense to me because, I mean, they're grown anyway. What do you mean? Her kids are grown now anyway. But what do you mean you can only curse on this day?
I guess it's like you can swear around me.
But she cusses like a sailor too. That's the whole thing. I mean, her kids have seen her go off. So it's like, what do you mean? It's again, your kids do what they see, not what you say. And that goes across the board. So, but yeah. Anyway, I don't think that our censoring that, and then also with your dad, it's kind of funny because now he's kind of like he don't really censor language either,
which was
weird was a shock for me
because you would allow me to swear when I was around you. I would like swear if it was like I stubbed my toe or I was angry about like a situation that happened. But if I said, he was like, hey, watch your mouth, it's like, okay, I'm sorry.
He's still coming from old school, but he's
but he'll talk about stuff from work, and he'll be like, "This motherfucker."
Yep. Yeah. But he's getting to the point where it's like he gets that too. Where what's the point of censoring language?
Mm-hmm.
Because does it really make sense? I mean, you could do a whole segment on censoring language. People censoring language. Period. Like I said, I wasn't even able to say dang or dag. It was too much like damn, and you can't say that. Or
does it mean the same thing?
Yeah, exactly.
That's what they would say.
That's
like their argument. Does it mean the same thing? Like, yeah, it's like don't say it at the end.
But that's we say darn, or you may say poop, but it means the same thing as shit. Depends, or there's so many words. You can just find something else to say in that place of that word. Why not just be able to say that word?
Mm-hmm.
That's my opinion. Why not just be able to say that word? Why do you have to substitute something just because you think it sounds better or people think it sounds better? Why? Just say the word.
I know when I was younger, I used to think about like why are they bad words in the first place?
Right. Why are they bad words? I mean, you know a lot of English bad words, don't you?
Prick.
Well, we use that here though.
Yeah, but it's not like a common one. It's not like
well, it depends on who you're hanging around with.
Yeah, censoring. The one I've only gotten in trouble for it. Maybe 2 times it was seriously bad.
With me?
No, I think because I remember I don't know how old I was, maybe like 10, and me and Daddy were playing what's it called, Mario Brothers Wii. And I think I died off like shit, and he was like, "What'd you just say?" I was like, Of course, when kids get like exposed like that or just confronted directly, kids don't know how to handle direction. They'll be like, Shane?
You be embarrassed.
I said Shane. He's like, no, you didn't. Why don't you say your own name? I'm like, I'm out of ideas here.
Yeah, no.
She took me upstairs to you and was like, he said a bad word. And you're like, what bad word did you say? He's like, shit.
And
like,
what did I say?
I don't know. I don't remember what you said. I think it was like, don't say it again or something like that. I don't know. It was a while ago. I was younger. But you were like, just don't.
I really didn't care, to be quite honest. I mean, I didn't know if you wanted me to just be angry or upset about it, or for you to get in trouble. But I honestly really didn't care. I'm saying that now, but seriously, back then I really didn't care.
Yeah.
It wasn't like he was like, bitch, ho, motherfucker. It
and
wasn't
I
like
never,
that. That's disrespectful.
Yeah, I've never like called. I would preface that we've never like called anybody in the family. You don't talk to the family like we don't name call. I think that's breeds. It can breed a negative environment for doing that. But in terms of like saying it, like if you stub your toe.
Yeah. No, we don't. In this household, it has always been. This is what I have a problem with us calling each other things. Like one time, when you were little, you called your sister stupid, and you got in serious trouble for that because we don't do that. We're not going to call each other names. We're not going to do things to belittle each other, and you got in serious trouble for that. Now that's what you got in trouble for, not for saying shit. So yeah, no, we don't do that. That's the amount of respect of having for each other. So,
scenario: you're a teacher in high school.
Ooh.
You're teaching a classroom, 30 kids, my age, but between 16 and like going into 18. Disrespectful all age groups. How do you handle it as not only as a parent but a teacher? I know this is a hard question because it's teaching too, but it's different because you're dealing with different personalities and people of different.
Exactly. Am I the substitute teacher or am I the real teacher?
That is a good question because substitute teachers
have no respect. They get no respect whatsoever. Answer the question. Am I a regular teacher or substitute teacher?
I guess like we'll say let's do both, a sub and then a regular teacher.
Substitute teacher. I think I just walk out of the classroom and say I had it. I'm done. But if it's my regular class, even if it's my regular class, what I definitely would do is get to know the kids, because a lot of times when kids are acting out like that, it's so much stuff that's going on with them at home, and people just don't understand it or get that. Because I used to come up to your school and volunteer with the kids and deal with all different types of personalities, and I never had any of those kids be disrespectful directly to me. But I got to know the kids. I spent a lot of time with the kids. I did things for the kids. You remember when I used to bring all of them Christmas gifts and stuff to school for the kids, and the Easter baskets and all of those things. So, it's making them feel a certain way. It was even one of the girls. So I think that if you develop that relationship with those kids on an individual basis and talk to them, just really talk to them, I think they will be more respectful to you because you're being respectful to them. Now, there are going to be some kids, no matter what you do and no matter what you say, they're going to be disrespectful. Them are the ones, you out of here. You out of my class. That's how I would handle that. And I'm firm. I mean, I've disciplined kids in the grocery store. I've disciplined kids, I remember, like this one kid jumped in front of me. I was like, hey, what you doing? That's rude. You don't do that. Get back to the next line. Get to the back of the line. And they're shocked that another parent or somebody would discipline them like that. I don't mean go and put my hands on anybody's kids. Not that. I don't mean that. But I'm saying being firm and talking to them as if, you're talking to another person and not belittling them.
I'm not saying, I think it would get to a point where if me as a family, like me, you, or my sister would go to public places where if there was bad kids acting, I'd be like, me and her would be like, oh no, mommy, don't say nothing. Mommy, don't say nothing.
I can't help myself. I cannot help myself. I think also that's part of the old school too. But I don't believe, because they used to say, if you was bad, the neighbor would whoop your ass, and then they'd tell your parent, and your parent whoop your ass. No, I don't believe in nobody hitting my kids. If you got a problem with my kids, you talk to me about that, and then I will take care of that. But I don't want anybody putting their hands on my kids, because then they don't love my children like I love my children. Mm-hmm. They're not going to discipline my children like I'm going to discipline them. They're not going to have that understanding with my children like I'm going to have with them. So you can tell me what they did, and I'm not specifically going to listen to that adult specifically, because we've had this situation with teachers. Mm-hmm. But calling me on the phone talking about you or Nika did something and all of this. And they always say, well, you don't really know your kids. I think you do get to know your kids. There are things that your kids do that they may not do in front of you. So it might be kind of a little shock. But by the same token, at the very essence and core, you do know your children if you spend a lot of time with them, so you know what they might and might not do. Because we've had scenarios like that with teachers and stuff too. But here's the thing: I don't want anybody putting their hands on my kids. So talk to me. I'm gonna talk to you. I'm gonna weigh the situation and see what happens, and then I decide what disciplinary action should be taken. Not because somebody else told me something, because I remember when you were little, people would tell me stuff that you did, or you would just, because you didn't like the pressure of people talking, saying you did it, so you just confessed that you did it and you really didn't do it.
Which that could have some. Glad I moved out of that, because that could really have some messy situations now, saying, "Oh, I did it," and then it'll be like my cousin Vinny.
Oh yeah, we watched that the other day. But yeah, so it's those things. So being able to decipher and say, well, I just want you to tell me your side of the story. Tell me what happened, and then let me make the decision. Because I remember when I was a kid dealing with adults and teachers and stuff, they would tell a whole different scenario of what I actually did, and I really didn't do things. I was like this kid that just was very quiet and introverted and didn't do a lot of stuff, and then somebody would tell some lie on me, and then my parents would beat the hell out of me. So that's not, you have to get and that's what I got from that, So that's the reason why I say, talk to your kids, spend time with them, get to know them, and if you have more than one kid, spend different times with those different kids, because you have to be able to develop a relationship with each one of your kids. And that's the reason why I never wanted more than 2 kids. Because it's so much to have 6, 7 kids and trying to decipher that time, and then also having time for yourself. The parents, we really always dedicate so much time to our family and our kids. We need to have time for ourselves too. So,
I do think for certain kids though who don't have, some kids aren't in a situation where they don't have like their parents,
right?
Where they'll have guardians, or they'll be foster, or the situation is different. It doesn't. I think parenting can go outside of just.
But you're biological.
Yeah,
it does.
Because some people, their closest parent or guardian is their aunt or uncle, or like there's guardian angel, not guardian angel. What's it called?
It's just a guardian. It's just their guardian.
Don't people have like it's like, let's say someone, like you were friends with someone if you were younger. When you have your kids, you're like, yo, we're best friends. If anything happens to me, you're.
Yeah, that's guardianship.
Oh,
that's
That's guardian.
They become their guardians. Yes.
I thought there was a certain word for it. Okay.
That's the word.
Wow.
Yeah, no, but the thing of it is also, you also have to realize too, there are also kids who do have their parents, but their parents, they don't have a relationship with their parents, and so they can't talk to their parents, and things are hard. And again, it's all about mirroring your child and seeing things that you don't like. Like, I take for instance, there's some fathers who wanted to play baseball all their life and they couldn't play, and they weren't good enough to make it, but they see something, they see a spark in their kid, so now they're pushing their kid, they're riding that kid, they're doing all of this stuff because they didn't make it. Now they're pushing the hell out of their kid to make it. And so that becomes a very hard relationship between that father and that son, because why they didn't make it, but they're gonna force this kid to do what they couldn't do, or they didn't have the real talent to do it, because their kid probably does have the talent that they got from that parent, but it went even further, and they didn't, and they're riding this kid instead of also not necessarily putting all that pressure on that kid, but also having a bond with that kid. Letting that kid make mistakes as well, and then being there to help pick up the pieces and help that kid move on. So, and that's where the relationship gets to be really hard. And then same thing with the mother, with some of these pageants and things like that. She didn't have it to make it, or she couldn't make it. So she's gonna ride her daughter to make it. And that's really.
Are you talking about like child beauty pageants?
Yeah, that.
I always
modeling.
thought those were not not wrong, but definitely thought they were kind of weird. Maybe not creepy, but it's a strange idea, right?
The pageants. Well, your sister was in
what was that like? Because I remember seeing like the TLC shows.
It was not
like My Beauty Pageants, and then all the moms are like, "I want my daughter to win," and then they're like crying, like, and they're like,
No, I think she was a freshman in high school or something like that. But it was something that she wanted to do.
Yeah.
And so we were like, okay, and so we did that. But it wasn't one of those pageants where you got to do all of it. It was different. It was a different thing. It wasn't all of the you got to get your nose redone. You got to do this.
Kids get their noses redone.
Yeah, they have cosmetic surgery. They do all kinds of stuff.
Oh my gosh.
But no, it wasn't that type. And it was the one-time thing. She did it, and she liked it. She won a couple of trophies and everything. And that was it. She was done with it. But that was never something that I tried putting her in some different things. I put her in a dance class. She didn't really like it. Okay. She played the trumpet for a while. Because she said she wanted to play the trumpet, she had to give me at least 3-4 years of that, which she did. And after that, it was done. I put her in gymnastics. She didn't really like that too much. And so that was fine. And I put you in different things. Some things you didn't like. When you were younger, I put you in karate. You didn't like that too much. So I said, okay. Tumbling. You were in tumbling for a little while. And then when you saw that it was nothing but mostly girls, you was like, I'm out of here. And I'm like, okay, fine. You did your bit for king and country. Okay, fine. So, and even with baseball, I wanted you to play baseball so bad. This conception of that when you were little, that you remember when I used to actually pitch to you and practice with you and all of those different things. But if you had told me at a certain point that you didn't want to do it anymore, I would have been like, okay.
I don't think I really had a problem with actually playing baseball. I think it was not pressure from you all, but I think maybe outside pressure from parents and not feeling like kind of I wasn't good at it because of all the other people on the team.
It was pressure from all of that other stuff. Yeah, and the same thing with Cub Scouts and stuff. When you told me you didn't want to be in it anymore, I was like, okay, that was fine. It was Cub Scouts was done, but then it was coming into Boy Scouts, and you was like, I don't want to do that anymore, and I was like, okay, cool. Yeah. You don't have to. But it was fun. The Pine Derby stuff that we did, and all of those things that we did was fun with you. And I think trying different things with your kids to see, and even with the Art Institute, I put your sister in the Art Institute. She was good in art too. She got scholarships and stuff, but I didn't take it all the way like I did with you. You went all the way until freshman year in high school before we stopped doing that. But it was something, and the people at the Art Institute knew you because you were there like summer, spring, winter, every year for years and years and years. Everybody at the Art Institute knew you. I'm still getting stuff. Hey Shane, apply for this scholarship and things like that.
I think actually we after we wrap this up, I do think we should talk about that. Just applying. I want to have as much as my resources set out to be able to have opportunities, and I really thank you all for that. For being able to set these opportunities for, okay, what do you like and what don't you like?
Right.
What interests you? Okay, that doesn't interest you. Drop that. We'll move into this.
Yeah, but that's absolutely what you have to do with your kids, even like with swimming. When you were in Cub Scouts and they was talking about you getting that badge for swimming and you didn't know how to swim, and I was like, and she wanted you to do all of this crazy stuff and you didn't know how to swim. I was like, this woman is crazy. So I said, okay, fine. I'm putting you in swimming. And I remember going to some of the practices with the swimming with you. It would be some girl riding you and you would be so mad. But it helped you be a much better swimmer. You're a good swimmer.
Being mad about it? I don't remember.
Yeah, you don't remember the black girl?
No.
And she was like, Shane, get those legs up. Shane, do this. And when you got out of the water, you'd be so angry. I was like, he pissed off at that girl. But it helped you. That part of it helped you to get what you needed to get for that. And then you ended up really liking swimming.
Yeah. But that did come from some push, though, because I really didn't want to do it.
I know. I did push that because it was
was
something that I feel that is something that we as black people don't do. And I didn't even make your sister take swimming lessons. I just felt like, okay, she know how to swim. You know, she taught herself how to swim and stuff. She could do the backstroke. She could do some things, but I didn't know that she should have really learned the whole thing of how to swim. I should have learned the whole thing of how to swim.
Yeah.
You know, so, but I really pushed that with you. And when you went to sleepaway camp, you were able to do so many other activities because why? Because you knew how to swim. And a lot of kids didn't know how to swim.
I think that's a good example of healthy pushing, though.
Yes, it's not
where
like
it wasn't like you better go to swimming, you better not, and it was like, okay, let's take you here so you. It's like showing what the end goal was at the end.
Right.
Of being able to.
The other thing too is that if you had been absolutely terrified, I probably would have got you one-on-one lessons. You know, you didn't have to have one-on-one lessons, but because that's another thing. Some kids are absolutely terrified. They're terrified. And if you push, I remember it used to be really terrified of the roller coasters. Remember? But there were some rides that were like really, really easy, and I would be like, just trust me, it'll be okay. And I push those things, and you be like, okay, this is fine. But you, like me, don't really like roller coasters. You know,
yeah.
It's Daddy and Nika that like roller coasters. They like them big high things, but I never really liked that stuff either. So, and that's okay. You know, you don't force your kids to get on these scary things that will give them something that they're afraid of for the rest of their life.
You know, I don't know if I ever told you this. I probably have. So, when I went, so for 7th grade, I went on this trip to, I was a part of the school band. So, because I remember, I inherited Nika's trumpet. So after she was done, I started playing trumpet, and I was in the band through middle school. And we would go on trips to perform in front of different groups and everything. And I think for this trip, we went to Ohio. We went to
Cedar Point.
Went to Cedar Point for going on different roller coasters. Caveat to that, I at that point still was not comfortable with going on roller coasters, and plus added to that, I'm in middle school, so you have that that surround judgment of going on rides.
Yeah.
But I remember vividly. Me and actually one of the people I was in Boy Scouts with was there. We were in the same group. And there is this ride. I forgot what it's called. It's one of those ones like the giant disc. And like it moves. It's like the rocking ship, but it goes all the way around.
Oh, yeah. I remember that ride at
spins you
Cedar
around.
Point. Yes.
I'll put a link in the description to see the picture of this ride. I'll figure out what it's called. But I remember not wanting to get on that ride. Me and him both were like, we'll call him Jack. Me and Jack did not at all want to go on that ride. And then one of the subs there was like, y'all sure y'all want to go on the ride? Like, nope. And then she was like, y'all some punks.
Wow.
And it was one of the subs. She was one of the parents there.
Wow.
Actually, no. It was one of the parents.
You did tell me that story. Yep, you did tell me that story, and I really wanted to cuss her out. If I had known who she was.
But it's like, man, you know, I'm like, you know, I think I remember like not saying anything back, but I was like, you know, I don't want to get on it.
Right.
And I said that. Now I would have been like, well, let me tell you this. What's your biggest fear? Like, let's say she would have said swimming. I would have been like, well, do you want to go in the middle of the ocean?
Right.
Like, no. Well, you have to. If we're all going in the middle of the ocean, then you have to. No, I don't. Exactly.
That's exactly
That's
right.
the point. You're like, why are you going to pressure some kids and then make them
feel bad?
Shitty?
Right. Well, yeah, make them feel bad because they don't want to do it. Did she get on it?
No.
Okay, see, that's what I'm talking about.
There was 2 other subs there. Like, well, I would have said that too. Well, why aren't you on it?
Right, exactly. Why didn't you get on it? You know, yeah.
I didn't have the foresight. There's so many situations in middle school that I wish I could go back.
Yeah, you did tell me about that story too, and I remember being angry that she said that to you too. I was really pissed about that. Cause you know, I mean.
That's one of those stories where I don't care about it now, but I'll still be up in the middle of the night. Man, if only I said. Only I would have said
Let it go.
A, B, and C.
Let it go.
No, I'm over it, but still, it's like, you know, it's like one of those redemption stories. I don't know.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, so it's those kinds of things of of pushing your kids, but not pushing them too much. Because I also had I have an ex friend who her husband put their oldest daughter on the wooden roller coaster at Six Flags.
Oh, the Goliath.
No, the American Eagle.
Okay.
When she was 5 years old, she was so scared to get on this ride. She was crying, and to me, if I was working those rides, there's no way. There was no way I would have let my 5-year-old and her as a mother. There's no way I would have let her get on that ride, and she was terrified, crying like that. But she did, and consequently, the girl totally has fears to this day, and she's overgrown of getting on roller coasters. You just don't do that, you know. So, but anyway, I digress.
Yes, I digress. But overall, 10 out of 10, would you raise... I don't know why I'm giving the rating before I was asked the question. I was going to ask, would you raise another teen?
Yeah.
Go for it again.
Yeah. I do have another teen. I got Cassidy.
Yeah, but
she's a girl. She's a girl. I've because I don't know between the two whether I would want to do a boy or girl again, because I've had good experiences.
It's not about it,
the sex of the
no,
person.
I mean just in general.
Yeah.
And then
not just a teen, just a person in general. What I really like more than anything is like the baby stage, and then helping them get to that point.
We're in the deep and gritty of it. Teens.
It's like still almost, if you will, some parents will say you got to watch a teen just like you got to watch your babies. Although I don't necessarily believe with that. But yeah, I don't have a problem with that. If it was my own. Well, maybe if it's not my own, because I thought about adopting a kid, but I'm too old now, and I got to get on with my life now. I got to get on with my life for big adventures now.
Yeah. And is there, because you are a parent and you are like another adult figure, if you will, what, for those who don't have or feel like they don't have a tight relationship with their parents, or parents who don't have a tight relationship with their teens, what do you think would be a good step towards changing that kind of relationship?
Well, I'll take it from the parent side first. For me, for the parents, I just think that parents really, really need to talk to their kids a lot more, not necessarily pull information out, but if you talk about your experiences and talk about how you weren't like the perfect kid when you were growing up, and be more relatable to your children, I think that'll open up a door for them to start to open up to you and really be more relatable. Because a lot of kids think that their parents are on this pedestal, and a lot of parents allow their kids to think that they're on this pedestal. I had never did any wrong. I wasn't like this. And if you go back and look at their past, you'd be like, damn.
It's like Back to the Future.
Yes, it's like Back to the Future.
With Marty's mom.
Yeah. But if the parents do that and just, try not to ridicule your kids, and just try to be open with them and try to be open-minded. And even if they got bad news to tell you, what else you going to do? You just got to be there for them. For the kids, I think it's a little bit more difficult because sometimes we have parents who are very narrow-minded.
Yes.
And who don't listen, who think I'm your parent and you gonna do what I say.
Old school.
Yeah, so it's a little bit more difficult for the teenagers, but I say keep trying to talk to your parents too. Keep appeal to their sense of their sensitivity, if you will. Their parents, there are some kids that, parents feel guilty about certain things sometimes. And so the kids can, if you get to know your parent a little bit better, you can kind of get that soft shoe with them, not be so harsh, which is difficult because it's really not your job to do that. But if you want a better relationship with them, I suggest, if you don't want a better relationship with them and you think that it's just moot, then try to find another adult that can help bridge that gap, another mentor, that can help you feel better, and possibly they may be able to find a way in to help bridge that gap with your parents. That's the advice that I have for the kids. But the parents, yes, parents, please start being a little bit more open-minded, talking to your children, getting to know them, talking to them about your experiences. I talk to y'all about my stuff all the time. Sometimes it's like, please, not again. But it has helped a lot for you guys to be able to trust me. That's what you want. You want your kids to trust you. Trust me, and then you open up to me about some of your stuff.
Yeah.
So.
I think that's very important. And, I thank you and Daddy, and of course Nika for raising me.
Yeah, because she's
and putting in a lot of work for that. It's hard having a teenager. I know I can be a handful sometimes, but I appreciate it.
I don't think it's that rough. I think maybe just going into high school, I think making that transition from middle school to high school was kind of rough a little bit. But I think that once you got your footing in, it was good. So,
yeah. But I want to thank you for having you on. It's been a good conversation.
Well, thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
I want to thank you all for listening to the Quirky Dorks podcast. We're back on schedule for posting on Mondays again. Sorry for the lack of posting. It's been SATs for me and my co-host Fiel. Hopefully we will be back recording next week, and if not, there will still be a podcast to look forward to. Thank you all for listening, and I'll see you all in the next podcast episode.